Hi everybody, Trudy here, One Grounded Angel, and this is the weekly angel card reading video for the week beginning Monday the 1st of June through to the 7th of June 2020. Don't you love it when they all line up like that? It means less chance that I forget the date. So we're starting with Monday the 1st of June, and I should tell you before we start, actually there is a lunar eclipse happening this Saturday, the 6th of June. I think it's actually the 5th of June in the US in Eastern time, but don't worry too much about the exact timing, because if you are going to feel it, you'll be feeling it already and feeling it start to build up to that. The exact time that it peaks is really only of interest if you are thinking of doing some sort of ritual or ceremony tied into that. So a lunar eclipse is really just a full moon wearing a cape. It's like a supersized energy in terms of the full moon. A regular full moon is all about letting go of what is no longer serving us, and it's also about reaping the rewards of whatever it is we've been working on for the past 6 months. 6 months being from the previous new moon in that particular sign. This full moon hits Sagittarius, so whatever it was your intentions you set 6 months ago around that time of the Sagittarius new moon, so that would have been late November, early December, I forget exactly. That's what is potentially you're going to benefit from, if indeed you were working on something in that sign. But even if you weren't at that time, even if you weren't, you might still notice some sort of benefit in the form of, because it's Sagittarius, the sign of travel, adventure, learning, risk-taking, optimism. So for example, you might notice some sort of release of any blocks around being optimistic. So if you've been having mindset issues, you might, for example, get the rewards of some sort of study, if you started studying around that time perhaps, or even if it wasn't exactly around that time. You might also, as I mentioned, it's a sign of risk-taking, and travel. Travel is not really an option for most of us at the moment, but we still have the option of having adventures in a different format, perhaps in our mind. So I don't know, books, fantasy, that sort of thing, or perhaps some sort of other travel around your own town, if that's allowed, given the restrictions that you're under. So those sorts of things can all come up around this. The full moon, I think of it as a really positive thing, but I know a lot of people, it can be challenging. The full moon is, for some reason, well, not for some reason, but for some people, it can be associated with sleeplessness around that time. It can be associated with this sort of feeling of being tired but wired, this feeling of being really emotional. And if you think about it, most of our bodies are made up of water. The moon controls the tide. Of course, we're going to feel an impact in our bodies, particularly if you're an empath, if you're really sensitive, around the movement of the moon. And if it's a super moon, then probably more so. So just be aware of that. Please don't go expecting it, because if you start to expect it, it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're attracting that energy. Don't expect it. Just be aware of something, if something's coming up for you around that area. And I think of it as a really positive thing, because it can show us what we need to let go of, even though that may be painful. It can also show us what it is, where there's work to be done sometimes as well, where we're blocked. So let's go on with Monday. Perhaps I have not chosen the right card deck here, because this is taking about a lunar cycle for me to get the right cards. Oh, here we go. You and your loved ones are safe. Now, safety is something I talk about a lot in my work, because it is probably the number one thing that comes up across every single client I work with. Everybody will come to me with different circumstances, different experiences, different issues, but this is the thing that underpins it. And I suspect most of us as human beings, even if we're not on a spiritual journey, feeling safe. We don't feel safe to be ourselves. We don't feel safe to go after the things that we want to pursue. We don't feel safe in our own lives. A lot of people talk about insecurity, anxiety. It's often around not feeling safe. You're constantly on guard against things going wrong. You expect things to go wrong. You're expecting your partner to leave you all the time. You don't feel safe in your relationship. You feel like you have to be someone else in your relationship, whatever it is. These are just examples. Safety is huge. It is the spine of my work. A lot of what I do, and you'll know this if you've worked with me, is around helping people feel safe, because we can't start to do that work of stepping into our authentic selves, of being more vulnerable, of serving our life purpose if we don't feel safe. So this card is letting you know that you are safe, and perhaps flagging it's something you need to work on. The other thing is, it does say, and your loved ones. People who are parents in particular often project their lack of safety onto their kids. They are constantly trying to basically wrap their kids in cotton wool to keep them safe. They are hyper vigilant about what their kids are doing. They're unable to release that control over them. I mean, I'm 40 and my mum's still trying to do this to me because of her own lack of safety. It can be codependency as well. That's certainly the case in my family. But if we're not able to trust that we're safe, we're going to project that onto other people, for sure, because we're going to feel like they're not safe either. So let's look at Tuesday by the book. Oh, I love this illustration. Look at the cute little elephants. So this is about rule taking, which you're going to find that surprising, because I'm someone who typically advocates rule breaking, not just for the sake of it. I'm not a rebel without a cause. I'm a rebel for the sake of the cause being authentic. I often advocate for, making sure we're not confined by what society expects of us or other people expect of us. And that's still relevant with this card. But what it's saying is, don't try to disrupt things for the sake of it, and don't try to take shortcuts right now. Following the rules, taking the way that the route that other people are taking might be the best way in this particular situation. In particular, what I'm getting here is that if we're feeling impatient, we often want to take shortcuts, and that's not going to be super helpful right now. So following the rules within reason, unless those rules are putting some sort of unfair imposition on you, is probably going to be the best approach for whatever you're facing right now. That's not a long-term strategy I would advocate for the reasons I've just outlined, but in this particular circumstance, make sure that you're not trying to stir up trouble because you want to, not stir up trouble, but stir things up and do things your own way, just to try and get attention, not to try and get attention, but just to try and receive some sort of response from people because you feel disconnected, and making sure it's not because you're afraid things won't work out for you. So I have to force things to happen on my schedule. That's a big one, and we had a card about that 2 weeks ago. So here we go with transformation. This is a big one. It's what we're all here to do, is transform. We're all caterpillars needing to get into that chrysalis at various stages to transform. The problem is, if we don't feel safe, if we are feeling super worried about what other people think, then we're not going to be willing to surrender control enough to do it. So this is let me read it. I'm joyously centered and safe, is that word again, as wonderful changes occur around me. So letting you know it's safe for you to transform, to do the work that you're working on right now, to change, to do that, make those changes, to move in the direction you're being guided to take. I know that sounded really loud. I've got a desk underneath me. I promise there'll be no more dropping of cards as there were last week. I shouldn't make that promise actually, because who knows with me. So Thursday's card is communicate with your angels. There's a couple of meanings here. One is, if you're struggling with something, you need to ask for help, because the angels can't intervene in our lives without our permission because of the law of free will. So if you were struggling with something, feeling like I have to do this myself, really have a look at why you might be doing that, because there aren't any medals handed out for handling things all by yourself, and there is no glory in struggling. So make sure you're not carrying any of those burdens, and just remember that you can't get help unless you're asking for it. So again, might be some work to do around blocks to receiving, or it might also be around making sure you remember that you do need to ask for help. Because speaking for myself, when I'm really stressed out, when things are really tough, for some reason, that is the time I often forget to ask for help from the divine, even though I work in this field. I'm helping other people do that for some reason. For myself, when things are challenging, I get so in my fear that I often forget. So we need to be reminded. And also the other thing with that card is remembering that you're not alone. So if you're feeling really isolated right now, remember you can talk to your angels at any point. They literally have nothing better to do than listen to you. So you may as well talk to them, even if it's about nothing, to help you remember that you are connected, that you do have people with you all the time and who really care about you and who are not going to change their opinion or their love for you based on what you do. They're not human, they don't have egos, they don't have a vested interest in what you do. They're not going to think, oh, that was silly, I don't want to support her anymore, or whatever silly stories it is. They're there for you all the time. So here we have Friday's card, and it's a romantic one. New romance is imminent, either with a newcomer or through reignited passion in your existing relationship. Here's the good part. Be open to giving and receiving love. So I've just talked about receiving, and that's super important. If you are blocking love, you're not going to be able to receive it. And people often forget that. They're so busy trying to give love to other people, they forget to let others give it to them, which means they don't have enough. And it means that they are blocking themselves off. And they often end up really resentful towards other people for not supporting them in return and wonder why they're being taken advantage of. So that can be going on. And that might not seem like something that, I'm about to sneeze, excuse me. Excuse me. That might not seem like something that is related to a romantic relationship. It might seem more like a friendship or a workmate type situation, but it's all related. All those relationships are connected in some way. So if you are blocking off love in one area, it's going to impact your other relationships. So just be aware of that. Healthy relationships across the board breed further healthy relationships in any type of situation, whether it be romantic, whatever. So for those of you who are single and who are trying to manifest a relationship, this could bode well for you, meaning that something's coming through. The key word here is passion. So the problem is that passion is often something we think that other people have to give us. The passion comes from a connection with this mysterious person, or the passion has to come from, my partner. But the thing to remember is that it's not your partner's job to bring through the passion, it's yours. And I'm not saying they don't have a role in this, I'm just saying you can't expect other people to bring in something that you're not bringing through yourself. So really look at, if there's not a lot of passion that you're feeling in your relationship, is there passion in other areas of your life? Often when I ask people this, the answer is no. So really look at, what are you doing in your life that brings through that passion? Are you doing hobbies that you love? Are you doing, pursuing things that you love? Or are you constantly putting your needs aside and worrying about everybody else? Because that's going to be related to a lack of passion. We can't keep expecting other people to provide the passion. It's an energy that has to flow, and often it starts with us. So, and this is true for singles as well. You can't be looking to someone else to bring through this spark into your life. You need to be able to start the spark by yourself. So look at what you are doing with your life that is bringing through passion, that is, and often people say, not often, but occasionally people will say, I don't know what I'm passionate about. And that's because they're so ingrained in running around after other people, it's really difficult for them to not only give them permission to pursue passions, but to even identify them in the first place. And if that's you, please come and see me for some energy healing work, because it's going to be really difficult for you to access that knowledge at the moment, because you're working so hard to distance yourself from it. So we can do some work together to figure that out. 2 cards for Saturday, similar colouring. You are safe. This really is a bookend to the card I had on Monday, the one that said you and your loved ones are safe, reiterating the same message. The thing that comes up for safety as well, I should mention, is not just emotional safety and security, but often security in the home. Because if we're constantly worried about some sort of threat to our emotional, if we're constantly worried about some sort of threat to us as a person, we might also be worried about threats to our loved ones. And also, our home is a symbol for our lives. If you dream about your home or a home, it's often a symbol or a metaphor for your life. So you might also be worried about some sort of other threats in your life. So one thing you can do if you do worry about the home, and this is something I find helpful, is to at night, ask Archangel Michael to send guardian angels to every window and door of your property to watch over the occupants at night while they sleep, and to keep anything out that should be out and anything in that should be in. That's my own ritual. It might not resonate for you. You don't have to do it word perfectly, just some sort of version of that speaks to Archangel Michael, who is associated with courage and protection and strength, all those good things. He's basically your spiritual warrior here, or your spiritual bodyguard. And secondly, we have this relationship harmony. So we know that relationship energy is big at the moment because we have Venus in retrograde. So a lot of people are having stuff come up around relationships at the moment. That's what a retrograde is for. It's not here to stir up trouble. I know that's how it feels sometimes. Sometimes it is here to show us where there's work to be done. And we have to do the work, or else things don't get better. Things stay the same. And we just keep trying to push things under the carpet, and that's just not sustainable. So look at where there is disharmony and what you can do about that. So if you are in a conflict with someone, what is that trying to show you? How does that mirror other situations in your life? How does it mirror the past? What is it that's coming up for you? Is there something here you need to learn, perhaps about standing up for yourself? Are you upset that no one's listening to you? Is that because you maybe don't bother telling people how you feel? Is it because you've taught people that your needs don't matter at a deeper level? These are just examples. I'm just throwing these out. So really look at that. If you want to put these two together, you could look at whether you're feeling safe in your relationships. And if you're not, there's probably some work to be done there. You know, if you've been betrayed, cheated on, something like that in a relationship, it's going to be hard for you to feel safe. If you've been abandoned by someone key, could be a parent, that's going to show up in your relationships too. It could even make you controlling or possessive. So really think about those sorts of things and whether there's something you need to work on. Nothing goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. And even having the knowledge sometimes is not enough. Sometimes we need to call in some experts. The energy work I do goes at a very deep level to clear things. So do reach out if that's coming up for you. If it doesn't, that's absolutely fine. I'm certainly not the only energy healer in town, and there are lots of good, really great healers and therapists and just amazing people out there. You've got to go with what feels right for you, but please know it's probably not going to go away on its own. Visualize success for Sunday. See yourself doing well in this situation and have faith in a positive outcome. So I mentioned that Sagittarius is a very optimistic sign. Now we can go too far with that. Sometimes we can be forcing a positive mindset, which means we're not looking at what the negative side of things, which we actually need to look at. Think about, what is it I need to learn from this situation? You know, we talk about rose-tinted glasses, particularly in relationships, and that's huge, because if you're going into a relationship or a love set and you're only seeing what you want to see, that's probably not going to end well, and I can certainly attest to that from my own history. So we can go too far with the blind optimism. So maybe there's some sort of release around that happening for you right now, where your eyes are being open to where you're trying to see only what you want to see. So this is really asking you to use those qualities of visualization to see what you want to see, but it doesn't mean being blind to what's really happening. We need to recognize, okay, this is not ideal right now, but still hold space for a positive outcome in the future. For some of you, if you are super visual, perhaps you're a Libra or a Taurus, maybe doing some sort of visualization board, vision board, whatever it is, that might work well for you. I'm a Scorpio, I'm a writer, so writing about what I want is more powerful for me when it comes to setting goals. But most of all, if you don't want to look at goals right now, and that's fine, we're in the middle of a pandemic, often the focus is really just on trying to get through for many of us, but you might like to look at, what is it I want to happen? Because we're in such a powerful space of transformation, and we need to be thinking about what it is we want to transform into. We don't just want to go back to what we were. That's not sustainable. So look at, what is it I want to happen, and do I really believe it can happen? Often people come to see me and they want something, but deep down they feel that they can't have it. They're scared they can't have it, and that can really block you from actually bringing it through, because your fear's energy is so engaged in that. And it's sort of trying to protect you in a way, trying to protect you from disappointment, but which we know doesn't work. You're always going to be disappointed if you don't get what you want, even if you didn't really think it was going to happen. So really looking at your mindset comes through here. And as I said, that doesn't mean pretending that everything's wonderful, and it doesn't mean being blind either. We need to be able to have total acceptance of where we are while we're reaching for more. So transformation is a big theme this week. Also safety, that's major, major, major. And of course relationship stuff is coming through. So there you have it. I would say that the energy around this full moon might be quite challenging for some of you, but please remember everything passes. And I know I've just said that things don't go away until they teach us what we need to know. Sometimes we do actually have to do the work to get them to pass, but really sometimes the surge of emotions we can experience around a full moon can sometimes not be an accurate reflection of what's going on for you. So the best way to deal with a surge of emotions is to write. Get your journal, write. I'm a big fan of that. So I hope that's been helpful for you. If you need to reach out to me, my website is www.onegroundedangel.com. I work with people all around the world with Zoom and using PayPal. And you can also just chat to me if you want to get some understanding of whether my work can even help you. So there's certainly no obligation that you can do that via my website as well in the bookings form. But please remember, I can't give out personal guidance outside of a session. So there's a limit to how much I can sort of steer you on. But I'll always be honest. If I don't think I can help you, I'll just tell you. And these cards will be on my Instagram as always, at One Grounded Angel each day, or on my Facebook page, and on my Facebook page, also called One Grounded Angel. So thank you for watching and have a terrific week.